Welcome back to Peapod Cove Reaction. Today, we're talking about something big. Those reference tracks that just leaked for Drake. Guess what? Today, we're talking to a guy. We're going to react to a guy named Jay Nolan, and he is bringing receipts. This person may have possibly worked with, one of Drake's producer back in the days, and
It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
make sure y'all violate that like button, y'all. Violate that like button. I appreciate it.
Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there on this Sunday evening, okay? Now, y'all know it was just the other day that I talked about this artist by the name of Chapo that people have been speculating has been doing some writing for Drake or had been doing some writing for Drake in the past, okay? We did a little bit of a deep dive on his history in the music industry. We were able to source him all the way back to around
And to catch a few people up, basically after these reference tracks dropped, they couldn't really claim them to be credible because the person they came from, nobody's never really heard of him. So what we're doing here today is he's coming with receipts. We're going to figure out who this person is and what ties do they actually have to Drake and OVO. So this Jay Nolan, I've been checking him out for a while. He do his research and he come correct. So let's get into it.
2009, 10, something like that, when he came into the industry with MBK Entertainment, which is the company that brought in Alicia Keys, Tyrese, her, and a bunch of other artists, right? Himself included in that. He used to go by the name Fame. He was also a part of the, I believe it was either 2011 or 2012 BET Cypher. There's photos out there of him in that cypher with Tito Lopez and a couple of other, Brianna Perry, other artists who were of that time period who didn't really break through. I don't know what the situation was with Tito Lopez, but he was actually a very dope artist. I believe he was from Mississippi, just like Crit. He was fire, but it just went in the cards for him or whatever. I think he became a ghostwriter himself, honestly. But nonetheless, he goes by Chapo now. We talked about that 5 a.m. in Toronto leak that it sounded very close to his voice on that record. We ended up playing you a record of Chapo so y'all could hear the side-by-side comparison to what it is that we were hearing. Some people said that they believed it was OVO Hush, which OVO Hush is somebody who has...
That's a crazy name as a ghostwriter. OVO Hush. Shh. Keep your mouth shut.
Believed it was OVO Hush, which OVO Hush is somebody who has been in Drake's camp for quite some time. If you go back to Take Care, if you go back to Nothing Was the Same, you'll see his name all throughout the writing credits for Anthony Powman. I've talked about OVO Hush on my channel as well. He also goes by the name Young Tony. I don't think it sounded so much like him. They have similar pitch in their voice, similar East Coast kind of accent, but I don't think it was him.
He ain't like it.
Now, as it pertains to this Chapo guy, another leak is out there. This time it's not exactly a timestamp, but it's a timestamp type record. Draft Day, Johnny Manziel. Y'all remember that record? Draft Day, Johnny Manziel. All these years later, how am I the man still? Or some whatever the fuck that was that he said. Well, some whatever the fuck that was that he said. Well, we've got
It's so funny because it just came out of nowhere.
Video of Chapo playing himself rapping the Draft Day song. Again, I gotta be fair in my assessment. He could have easily found the Draft Day instrumental on YouTube. It's available for anybody that wants it. Could rap on it and say, yo, this is a reference track. As somebody who understands how this stuff goes, as somebody that understands how certain people may move for clout chasing and things of that nature, I understand how accessible that is and how possible that is. I can't rule it out. However, it does seem that there's a little bit more credence being pointed in the direction of this guy Chapo, okay? Because not only do I have the video of him playing a so-called reference of him rapping the Draft Day record, but I've also got something that he put out on his TikTok from 2010 when he did a song with Boy Wonder. If y'all are familiar with Drake and OVO and pretty much every Drake album,
true,
and shit, every Drake mixtape, if you go back to the very beginning, Boy Wonder is a consistent producer in Drake's camp, the original Drake producer in Drake's camp from day one. And we've got songs from 2010 with Chapo and Boy Wonder.
Wow. Yo, that's when Drake first came into the scene. Boy Wonder, I think, was his producer guy. Man.
I'm going to show y'all that in a minute. I'm also going to show y'all a video of this guy Chapo saying, this is around the time, this is last year when the Mob Ties reference track leaked out. He said, you know, that's cool. But what if timestamps started leaking? How would y'all look at this guy then? How would the narrative on him be spread about Drake if, for instance, timestamps started leaking of references? And what do you know? A timestamp leaks with this guy's voice on it. Again, I don't know anything as it pertains to what happened in the studio, who wrote what. I cannot say definitively that Chapo wrote anything or has any connection to Drake specifically. I have not seen them in video and or picture. Okay? If anyone is angry for me stating that I cannot definitively say anything, you say it yourself. I will not, because I cannot definitively say anything. I was not present. I didn't put pen down on paper to do it myself. And I haven't seen any evidence of them in the same room. However, I will give him the opportunity to share his side of the story.
Yep.
That's all I can do. All right. So here's the video of Chapo alluding to some timestamps leaking.
I may not be able to speak, but I could put it in music. And what if all, you know, that narrative Drake hands out number ones? What if, stay with me, what if all those number ones just started leaking and they were written by other artists? What if timestamps started leaking? Then what?
Man, you see how angry he looks? He looks really angry right there.
I don't know. Y'all tell me, man. Like I said, May 30th, man. A lot of this shit will get answered May 30th. Y'all just gotta wait till May 30th. It's a couple days. It's all there. It's all there. May 30th. I promise you, you will leave May 30th with a very, very, very different perspective and a very, very keen sense.
So what happened on May 30th?
As to what the fuck has been going on all these years. Just saying.
So that was Chapo last year. He was saying May 30th we were going to get some sort of clarity about Drake. Now I don't necessarily remember what took place on May 30th of last year as it pertained to the Kendrick and Drake ordeal, but nonetheless, in the days, months, etc. to follow,
that was in the middle of the beef, wasn't it? Was that when he dropped Meet the Grams and all that? Because Juneteenth, it was over by then. What was May 30th? Leave me some good nuggets down there in the I'm trying to figure out what was May 30th.
Seeing that this beef continued, Drake continued to play into it, in terms of the IG story, the 100 gigs, all of this stuff. Kendrick did the pop out after that, announced the pop out after that, all this stuff, right? But the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about here is him saying, what if timestamps started leaking? Next thing you know, we got a timestamp reference with this man's voice on it. Now, let's get to this draft day alleged reference track. And this time it's with him actually playing it in the video. This isn't just a random voice and we're trying to match it up. This is literally him playing this joint.
You know it's real when your niggas will take the fall for you. All loyal, so you keep egging me on, and we gon' have to pack your shell just to prove that this you ain't hard for you. Last night I tried out some raw oysters. Man, that boy growing up quick. That boy know he the shit. That boy singing in all his songs and he know he could spit. That boy manifested and that boy knew it was written. That boy did it on purpose. That boy know that they shitting on you when they can't get past you. You should have followed all my moves, you won't realize the after. And if I left this shit to chance, I would have picked the name like Chance the Rapper. No offense, cause I don't know that nigga. I'm focused on making records and getting bigger. Just hits, no misses, that's for the married folks. Tell them fix up my suite, cause I'm coming home. I heard them talking crazy, I was out of town. You know they let her pop all that shit when I'm not around. But when I'm in, not a sound. That'll make me snap, jot it down. Go in the booth and lay a body down. No Suzumani that say we got it, wallahi.
Okay, that's the.
Listen, you can hear the rhythm in there that he used. Wow. Listen, I want to know how do y'all feel about these reference tracks keep coming out? You know,
draft day alleged reference, right? Now, for those people out there that believe this is some bullshit, I mean, you're clearly entitled to feel that way. I'm not going to try to change your mind because I don't know what's real and what's not. All I can do is talk about what's circulating, right? But I'll tell you what, if he is somebody who's worked in the industry, if he's somebody who's been writing for other artists outside of Drake, if he's somebody who, I mean, it's documented who he's been signed to, who he's been around, who he continues to be around in the music industry. If he indeed is doing this just for clout, then that's going to ruin his reputation with all of these people that he's had relationships with all these years. This is an artist or a writer who's been in the industry since he was a kid, right? Now, some people may say maybe that's why he's doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the industry since he was a kid. He never popped off to the level of degree that he was looking for. So now he's doing.
That's pretty much mean they took advantage of him.
Doing clout chasey shit to get people to watch his TikTok or watch his, Twitter posts or whatever the case may be. And I'm sure there's some people out there that are like that. But again, if he is indeed working with other artists in any capacity, why would they trust him if he's out here doing bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Just doing fake ass shit for clicks and views. I wouldn't work with somebody like that. I know that much. I wouldn't want to be around him. You know what I'm saying? And then he finds himself in the circumference of people that generally wouldn't tolerate that from people. You know what I'm saying? Mano is known for smacking niggas. Memphis Bleak ain't somebody that's going to be around no sucker ass nigga, somebody that's unofficial, because Memphis Bleak don't rock like that. Anybody that knows about Bleak should know. You know what I'm saying? This is the same Bleak who told y'all, man, I don't even like the fact that Jay-Z said that fucking long as he alive, I'm a millionaire line, because that shit wasn't ringing true. There was a point in time Memphis Bleak said he was back selling crack after the Rockefeller breakup. So he's a get it how you live type nigga. I don't think he would get around somebody who is out here clout chasing off some ghostwriting claims. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving y'all context of what I've seen. I don't know this man, never met him, never spoke to him. Hey, it would be nice to, you know what I'm saying? But it seems, shit, he may not want to speak to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit too cautious or weary or suspicious. Not to say that I don't believe anything he's saying, because again, we're about to play y'all a track from 2010 that he made with Boy Wonder, Drake's primary producer throughout the entirety of his career. Every Drake mixtape, every Drake album has multiple Boy Wonder tracks, and they came up together. So people started questioning his validity in the industry. He came and dropped this.
Said it's on. Yeah. Over that they said I was on. Hey, yo, what up, Boy Wonder? Sleeping on me for 2 Welcome to Brooklyn, baby. I gotta give respect for my I'll be the juice man. Going off the deep and they shaking. The hottest nigga in the game just met his replacement. Yeah. The moment that they said I was on. See what I'm talking about, though? Sleeping on me for 2 I get a controversy start now. I gotta give respect for my Hey, yo, I knew this was gonna happen too, Boy Wonder. I knew once again you got a fool it was gonna be crazy like this.
All right, so that is the artist now known as Chapo, formerly known as Fame, also formerly known as Live Moolah.
So that's the thing, yo. This is his third name. So a lot of people didn't know the new person Chapo because he had a different name. I'm not sure why he keeps changing the name, if it's to move around in the industry. But this is crazy, man. This is wow. Like, leak reference tracks ain't like, it's not like a rumor anymore. It's because a lot of this stuff now is starting to be very believable, because this is one of OVO's producers from back in the day. Probably wasn't even OVO then. This was way back when they first started. So he had access to a lot of young artists coming through the industry.
He puts out this this track he did with Boy Wonder back in the days. Now, if you go back to this clip, he shows you it's literally coming from his email dated in 2010. Okay. And he says here, I was signed as a songwriter to Harvey Mason Jr., which I told y'all the other day. He was signed to Harvey Mason Jr. Once again, Harvey Mason Jr. is the head of the Recording Academy, which is the organization over the Grammys currently. And Harvey Mason is the newest head of all of that, right? But before all of that, he was signed to Harvey Mason Jr. from 2008 to 2013. He says, at that time, me and Boy Wonder did a project that turned into something different. Okay, so they did a whole project at the time, but unfortunately, it seems that it never came out. He says, just
is that where some of these songs are coming from? A whole project? That's, man, this is getting so diabolically shameful for Drake. He's getting exposed to the eighth power and a Donkey Kong punch. Like, I wonder who has access to these songs, and if some of these songs are the same songs that Chapo is he's going to exploit the hell out of them. This is insane.
Let's check the dates. This been my sound since the beginning, the chop shop. Just Google Harvey Mason Jr. and report back. That's his message, right? And again, this email is from February, what is that, the 10th of 2010? Or 19th, sorry. Had to lean in, the shit is small as fuck. And there's a couple other songs tagged here in the or you know, uploaded here in the email. What else is in here? And at the bottom here, you can see that this email thread is with Michael Daly, and his email tag is from HarveyMasonMedia.com. So that gives even extra credence to the fact that he was working with Harvey Mason and co, because they were emailing back and forth this Boy Wonder project under the Harvey Mason umbrella. So everything that he said is pretty much checking out. I got to be honest. If there's enough honesty and if there's enough pieces that are falling together in the puzzle, I got to give somebody at least enough rope to give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt that most of what they saying has to be some level of true. Now, I don't know what songs he did with Drake or for Drake, but let's just keep this in perspective. if you're working with Drake's producer on a whole project, right? This is 2010. Now, to be fair, Thank Me Later came out what, 2009? Let me check the date on that. I think it was 2009, but I could be wrong. Damn, no, it came out later than I thought it did. That bitch came out June 15th, 2010. Okay. And if you go into the history of this record, it was recorded at various recording studios during 2009 to 2010 and was mostly produced by longtime collaborators 40 and Boy Wonder. This is from the Thank Me Later Drake.
There's 40. 40 just showed up. They've been scamming cats since back then.
Wikipedia page. Okay. So let's just put this in perspective. If you're an upcoming artist, in some kind of way, you're doing a complete project, damn near mixtape or album of your own with Boy Wonder. Boy Wonder is Drake's go-to man for beats. I mean, if you go through the Boy Wonder catalog, you got to think about, I want this shit forever, man. All that shit from back then. Fear. The song where he said he never cried when Pac died, but he probably will when Hove does. Yep. All those records from that time period, Boy Wonder. If you're in the
makes you really wonder now, huh? What was he, Boy Wonder, a name like that? Scam artists.
Studio creating with him, and he's that close to Drake, then that exponentially increases the likelihood of him saying, yo, check out this artist that I'm working with, man. This nigga fire, you know? Or maybe even saying, yo, some of these beats that I'm working on, like who's to say Drake hears a beat and like, I want that one. And he's like, oh shit, I reserved that one for homeboy, but shit, let me call him and make sure it's cool that we put it on your shit, because this is a much bigger project. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, well, shit, who is he? Let me hear what he got. And Drake fuck around and be like, oh shit, yeah, he talented. He got some shit. You know, maybe we could start inviting him to some sessions. Maybe we could work with him. You know, maybe the thought process isn't initially, let me get him to ghostwrite for me. That may not be the first conversation. It might be, let's collab with him. Let's work with him. Let's see if we can put him under the wing. You know what I'm saying? Because there was once upon a time when Drake did actually care about putting out artists. Remember, he came into the game with Nicholas F. Unfortunately, Nicholas F. never got his shot. Not like that. Right?
Yep.
OVO Hush was a solo artist at one point. He became a writer. So I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm just saying the likelihood of this being something close to what I'm saying is starting to make a lot more sense, especially if you can go back in time and source 2010, which is the same year that Drake's debut album comes out. He's working with Drake's primary producer.
Wow.
And next thing you know, we're starting to hear this nigga voice on fucking reference tracks. I don't think that's a fucking coincidence. Some people can, and you're entitled to your train of thought and how you want to think. But this is actually this shit is going way deeper than I would have imagined. And I can only imagine how much information this dude is keeping back, because he hasn't come out and outright said, I wrote for Drake.
I remember during this beef when when Kendrick said that Drake didn't have any classics. And a lot of people question that. How could they be serious when we know what Drake catalogs looks like? And some reference tracks did drop a while back when Mob Ties and all those tracks, but now timestamps are dropping reference tracks. And you really have to ask yourself the question, like, where does Drake really stand in hip hop anymore? Does it matter to you that he's not the one writing these rhymes? You know, because it turns out like this is actually true. This isn't just internet chatter. It's like receipts are coming out. Like we finding out this kid actually did a whole project with Boy Wonder, and that thing never saw the daylight. So how much of these tracks Drake sang? You know, we're gonna have to ask, how much of these tracks did Drake sing? Probably the whole goddamn project already. They probably ran out of toodaloons.
He hasn't come out and said, you know, I wrote this, and this for Drake. I don't know if he ever.
Well, I don't think he can ever come out and say anything because I'm sure there were NDAs and things like that involved, right? You got to assume so.
Will. It would probably take something like extreme for him to just be like, you know what, fuck it, there's no turning back. I would think now would be the time for him to do that, because throughout the entire battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, Chapo was pretty much Team Kendrick. He said both of them are his bros, but he was alleging that he was hearing Kendrick's diss tracks, as in Euphoria, before it even came out. When Euphoria came out, he said, yo, I heard the rest of that song, but I didn't hear the intro. They added that. This is all available on his TikTok from over a year ago. He predicted certain elements of the Euphoria record that ended up coming true. So, you know, he claims to be a part of that P that them West Side Compton niggas be wearing on that hat, them Phillies hats. He claims he's down with that set. Right? That's all I can say. I try to stay out of gang politics as much as I can. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
If you know, you know.
So, again, I don't think Drake is going to let this guy back into his circle. Not at this point. Not if he's severing ties with people.
If you ask me, it doesn't seem like he's been in Drake's circle for a while. He's definitely got grievances, and you know what? He's been dropping reference tracks for days now. It seemed like every day he's dropping one. He's dropped about, what, 4 of them so far? Maybe even 5?
People that pick sides.
And you got to really believe this too. These artists was taken care of, like they actually paid them for these songs or whatever. Because I'm sure there is always compensation for the other people's work. I'm sure the reason why these tracks are dropping is because they weren't taken care of. I believe Drake and his people stiffed these people for their music, never paid them, and this is why they're coming out swinging at them. And you got to remember when Kendrick talked in this battle, when he talked in, I think it was 616, of how his own people didn't like him because some of the things he's done in the past, and backstabbing's got to be one of them.
This might be your opportunity to come and talk. However you feel, Mr. Chapo, inside the industry is a place where you can come talk. You know, we don't got to make it about Drake, just to do a little bit more history, do the knowledge on your tenure in the music industry. The invitation is open. It's up to you to take it or not. I tagged you in my first video. Here we are talking about you again. Invitation still stands. Okay. But let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like it.
Yo, give it up for Jay Nolan. Make sure I go over there, like the videos, like and subscribe, so help support the channel. He does great content over there. Make sure, if y'all still here with me too, make sure y'all like the video, subscribe. But listen, you gotta. I'm old school hip hop. If you didn't write it, you can't say that you're the best. You can play in the game. We'll let you twiddle your toes in the water. But when it comes to talking about the important things, you need to go sit in the corner. If we battling, go sit in the corner. You can't let JJ write your rhymes and come and try to diss me with it. No. Because when I'm bringing my shit, I'm coming 100% pure. And a lot of people seem to forget that when it comes to hip-hop. That's what hip-hop was built on, and that's what it's all has been about. But y'all need to let me know in the comments. Let me know down in the comments, how do you feel about the receipts that was brought up? Chapo, his name is, and Chapo is exposing Drake because I'm sure he was a horrible person and he never took care of Chapo. Even I'm sure him and his producer probably stole all Chapo's stuff. So let me know down in the comments how you feel about it. Peapod Cove. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.